serious disease is a global issue. Even the individual diseases are still global issues. They're kind of made up of a whole combination of different factors. So where do you begin as an EFT practitioner? I'm assuming a lot of you here are practitioners or are working with this in some way. Yeah? Great. Okay. The first place is always to begin where your client is at anyway. You always begin with where they are in that moment. It's important to know that we're not doctors, and I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor here. I specialize in serious disease, particularly cancer, but I'm never pretend to be a doctor. I know very little actually about the makeup of the disease, or in fact any disease. I leave that to the people who do know. I don't need to know that. I'm interested in working with the vibration of the disease, with the emotional components of it, and also with the physical pain management, those things. But I do not need to know what's going on biologically, thank goodness. The emotional and the physical are kind of flip sides of the same coin, so it doesn't matter whether you begin with the physical or whether you begin with the emotional. You're going to be working on both anyway. They're all on the same energetic frequency. Okay, we're working with the same thing. It's all energy. As far as I'm concerned, EFT is kind of the ultimate tool for working with disease. Because of the setup statement, it says it all. The I deeply and completely love and accept myself is key to our work with serious disease, absolutely key. And when I say that, it's I deeply and completely love and accept myself with or without the disease, and deeply and completely loving and accepting the disease. It's all about setting up a communication with the disease in order to get it to change and to help the healing, to facilitate the healing. Okay. Actually, the disease in itself isn't really the problem. The problem is far more the sort of the sickness that surrounds the disease, the judgments, the beliefs, the identities that are created through having a disease. I'm a diabetic. I'm an anorexic. I have depression. I am depressed. It's what society gives to the disease that's really key to this. And if you can clear those judgments, actually working with the disease itself is remarkably easy. If you think about it, I mean, that's been going on since, forever and a day. The plagues were because God was angry with us. Anybody here had glandular fever as a teenager and got teased for having the kissing disease? Anyone? You're not going to admit to it. Yay. Okay, it's the judgments that are put on top of having the disease that are the major issue, I think, to the healing. That's the first block, working with the judgments about having the disease. What are you saying to yourself? Are you identifying with it? Who does you with the disease state make you? How are you seeing yourself? So we need to kind of get to the bottom of that. But the disease is not who we are. Okay? It may be who we become if we listen to other people. And I don't mean just the medical profession. I mean anybody, our friends, our family. There's a lady up here earlier. Well, I've got the diabetes. Everyone in my family has it. That's what I'm expected to do almost. That's how it works. Although genetically, certainly in the case of cancer and heart disease, it's only about 5% of that is from a genetic input. So it's about working with the disease, creating a rapport. We create rapport with our clients all the time. It's one of the key things. We have to treat the disease as a client in its own right, as a separate entity. And we have to gain rapport with it. We have to come from a place of accepting it and finding out what it wants. The body's natural remit is actually to heal. If something's getting in the way of it, we need to find out why that is. When we've found out that and changed that, there is no longer any need for the disease to be there. Okay? There are lots of contributing factors to serious disease. I'm not going to say that tapping sorts it out. No, it doesn't. But it can certainly help, and it'll help the emotional journey as well. There are other contributors, like Carl was talking about earlier: nutrition, genes, environment, lifestyle. All sorts of different factors come into play. And we'll look at a bit more of those tomorrow when I'm talking about my work with cancer. But it's not one thing. I wish it was. It would be really easy, but it's not. Okay? The law of attraction. I'm guessing you are all familiar with the law of attraction. It's a fantastic frame, but actually when you're working with serious disease, it's not all that useful in its simplistic form anyway. We don't attract diseases to us deliberately. There may be other energetic components going on, but a lot of people will take it at the superficial level of, oh God, I've smoked, so I've created this cancer. It's not useful. It just adds another layer of anxiety and blame and guilt. However, it is hugely useful when it comes to the healing. You can attract healing. You can choose to attract healing and health. That's when it really does work, if you use it with visualization, with skill, with intention, if you like. Okay, so if anyone here is thinking, oh, I attracted my fibromyalgia, I attracted my cancer, no, it's not that simple. Okay? As I was saying earlier, we need to communicate with the actual disease. We need to get it on side first. And if you look at the language that's used about disease, if you go into the medical profession, and I'm a doctor's daughter and a doctor's daughter-in-law, I have huge respect for the medical profession. I'm going alongside them, not either or. But if you look at the language they use, we have to fight disease. We go to war with it. It's attacking us. It's the enemy. We've got to kill it. That's not going to get it on side. We're not going to work with something if we're fighting. It's not going to communicate with us at all like that. So we have to work through that language and find reframes for the disease state as the therapist that will allow us to actually communicate directly with it and with our client. Hugely, hugely important. We need to drop the warfare from this.